as I've been working on my most recent kind of study, going through the Bible and reading all these passages on faith, and I was working on a blog post, that kind of summed up several of the ones that I read. I went back and read a couple, and there's a couple that really stood out to me. And I kind of summed it up in a blog post, but there's a couple I want to really point out. One is James 2:17 and 18, and it says, "In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. But someone will say, 'You have faith, I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds.'" And throughout this whole series, I hit a point in this kind of faith study that I'm doing where this theme really came through very strong. While faith is obviously required for salvation, faith without deeds is dead, as it has been put. So, you have to have both. I also thought it interesting as I came across another passage I've read a few different times, and it says, "For this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness mutual affection, and to mutual affection love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ." That came from 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 5 through 8. And I thought it was very interesting because at the very beginning of that, it starts with faith. It says, to your faith, add goodness. So while faith is that starting point, faith is that beginning, that foundation of your relationship with God, it has to go beyond that. You have to build upon the foundation of faith into something that your life really begins to live out your faith. As James said, "I will show you my faith by my deeds." And I thought it was very interesting, that concept. I was reminded, as I wrote in a blog post, of kind of how many of us in the restaurant felt back when I used to work at a pizza place. And we hated working Sunday lunch shifts because as people would get out of church, of course, they would come eat at the restaurant. And it was a pretty standard opinion at the place that I worked that the people who came in right after church were some of the worst customers we had throughout the entire week. And I'll never forget that example because, it's a restaurant filled with a bunch of different types of people. There were some people who did this, who worked in this restaurant for a living. There were others like me who just did it while they were in college. But there was an opportunity there to give a testimony, to show your faith by your actions, and yet largely the people who came in after church seemed to be showing their, what I would say maybe is a lack of faith by their actions, because they were, some of the worst customers we dealt with. They showed very little care or kindness to the people who worked at the restaurant. So it's an example I will never forget. And it also reminds me that I have to frequently look in the mirror and think, what do my actions say about my faith and my relationship with God? Where does that put me? And recently I look back and it doesn't make me feel very good. So I know that I have some improving to do to let my faith really be shown by my actions. So I hope you all have a good week. Hopefully this is maybe a little helpful or inspirational. And thank you for listening.